For founders of SaaS companies out there today, let's narrow it down for B2B SaaS. There's a lot of debate about, if they want to sell their companies, what valuation should they ask? What's your kind of formula for founders to think about what type of amount they might be getting from a potential sale of their company? What's a realistic multiple for a SaaS B2B company these days?
I think that looking at a lot of exits throughout the years of SaaS B2B, I think you should be, the real aim, you personally want to win the game. You personally want to play it once. You want to have an exit that'll give you an amount in your pocket that you won't have to do the game again. You can be settled for life. If you want to, you can do it, but you don't have to. And I think that a lot of things that founders do early on actually will lower the chances of that happening. For example, having 4 founders. For example, getting money really, really early on for 50% of the company. Already you shot yourself down like having 4 founders. So I think as long as you don't do any mistakes that'll cost you in the future money from any sale, you should expect a fair life-changing money, but don't expect to buy mansions and planes and stuff like that.
But should they go for, a lot of founders have unrealistic expectations about the multiples because a lot of, it's called hot B2B SaaS companies get valuations in the 20x revenues, etc. But when you get to the actual selling process, so if you have expectations of getting 20x your ARR, you're probably going to be disappointed hardly. What's, in your experience, what's a realistic multiple today?
So I don't think that I don't think that's the right way to think about it. Eventually, I believe in market powers. The multiple is a result of being standard, like everyone. Everyone sells with a multiple of 5. Everybody sells with a multiple of 10. You don't want to be a multiple. You want to be special. You want people to buy you at a multiple of 2,000. And eventually, it's about the value you bring and your negotiation skills. When we sold, the amount that we told Avishai we want was, I think, 8 times the amount, or actually 4 times the amount we would actually agree to sell for. And eventually, and it was really steep. There was no chance he'd pay that amount. And the thing is that if you're interested, if you're interesting, the other side won't tell you, whoa, you're crazy, let's hang up the whole phone right now. The other side will counter offer, or as Avishai told us, guys, this is way too high, but we'll solve it. Let's go through the process and we'll solve it. And I think eventually, looking at multiples and stuff like that, it's not the way I would view it. I would view as a strategy, I would get the maximum amount I could. For example, having 2 companies bid for you, it doesn't matter the multiple. 2 companies will bid for you. Oracle and Amazon will bid for you. You'll get extremely nice multiples. A company I helped with right now could only be sold to Wix. Only be sold to Wix. And it doesn't matter their ARR at that point. It's like, okay, you can only sell to us. This is the amount. It's a hard amount. So there's a lot of things you can do to increase the value. I have friends who started their negotiations with the other side offering X and ending up at 4x just because they did the negotiations correctly. So looking at the multiples, looking at things like that, I think it's not the right thing to do. Look at the amounts just to put a focus. I think looking back, I think we were at about 50 times multiple in our sell. I don't even remember our ARR. I think I'm even under, 200 multiple, the amount that we were sold for our ARR. A good way, Danny once described it for me. A good way to look at it is there's a minimum amount that you are willing to accept to sell your company with. And there's a maximum amount the other side will accept to buy your product with. If there's an overlap between them, then where the amount will fall will be on your negotiation skills and on which side has more information to play with to put the amount of the sale. But eventually the sale will happen if there is an overlap. If there isn't an overlap, then the sale won't happen no matter what. And the trick in negotiations is finding out the other side's limit and playing around that. And the other side's limit really doesn't have to do with multiple. Amazon will buy a company not because, not an amount of 50 multiples, it's because Amazon looks at the company and says, I can increase my shareholder value by 20% using this technology. So the amount I'm willing to pay with it is 20% my market cap. And then the game, it's not a game of multiples, it's a game of negotiation and market trends.